In Peru, with 88% of votes counted, the presidential candidate for the Free Peru National Political Party, Pedro Castillo, has secured 18% of the vote, while far-right candidate Keiko Fujimori is in second place with 13.2%. A Venezuelan Navy vessel delivered humanitarian aid to St. Vincent and the Grenadines this Monday, following the eruption of La Soufrière volcano on Friday. This Monday, Europe surpassed the grim figure of more than 1 million COVID-19 related fatalities, the highest death toll of any continent in the world. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. While a series of audits are yet to be undertaken before the absolute final outcome of Sunday's general elections in Peru is announced, according to the count so far, the presidential candidate for the Free Peru National Political Party, Pedro Castillo, secured over 18% of the vote. A second round vote to define the president and vice president is scheduled for June the 6th, with a total of 18 candidates vying for place. According to the results released so far by the National Office of Electoral Processes, with over 88% of votes counted, Keiko Fujimori of the far-right Popular Force Party is in second place with over 13.2% of the vote. She is followed in third place by Hernando de Soto of the Go On Country Party with 11.9%. 5.1% of the ballots were declared null so far, while 12.1% were blank. Meanwhile, of the 20 parties running for the 130 seats in Congress, and with 67% of votes counted, the Free Peru National Political Party and the Popular Force Party have secured the most votes. In Bolivia, the plurinational electoral body has announced the results of the second round vote held on Sunday to determine the governors of 4 departments of the country. According to the results, the ruling movement towards the ruling party failed to secure any of the 4 governorships in the second round. Former president and leader of the movement, Evo Morales, called an extraordinary meeting to evaluate the electoral performance. Regarding the results, in the department of Chuquisaca, Damian Condori of the We Are Chuquisaca Party won 60% of the vote. Meanwhile, in La Paz department, Santos Quispe of the Hayaya Party won with 57% of the ballots cast. In Pando department, Regis Richer, representing the Third System movement, won 55% of the vote. And lastly, in the department of Tarija, Oscar Montes of the United for Tarija Party won with 54% of the ballots. Representatives of the member states of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America People's Trade Treaty met virtually this Monday to discuss the bloc's communications policy as a tool to promote regional integration. The meeting saw the participation of top authorities in the field of communications and formation of ALBA member states. Already this year, the Alliance has held several meetings by video conference to agree on actions in different areas of interest, such as health, agriculture, and education in a scenario characterized by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Republic of Venezuela, on behalf of President Nicolás Maduro, we also want to express our solidarity with our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, at this time when they are experiencing a natural disaster that puts us in the place of each of the brothers and sisters who are facing this situation today. And therefore, from a communication point of view, we must activate a solidarity, awareness, and activism campaign right now, from this moment, in real time, so that our brothers and sisters feel supported, as they indeed are.
In the United States, after Sunday's police shooting of 20-year-old black men down the right in nearby Brooklyn Center, the mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul called for a curfew to take effect Monday night from 7 p.m. local time as protests continue. The curfew will extend until 6 a.m. local time on Tuesday morning in both cities. National Guard vehicles were deployed to a few major intersections, and a handful of soldiers in camouflage, some carrying assault-style weapons, could also be seen. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department's headquarters on Monday evening to protest the fatal shooting by police in an area where tensions are high as the trial against former Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin is on trial for the murder of George Floyd. According to reports, officers fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd. A candlelight vigil organized by Wright's family was held at 6 p.m. to comply with the curfew and was scheduled to last about 30 minutes.
Who knows if there's going to be a difference in this world? Who knows if it's going to be the last time that we all come together like this?
So we're just peacefully protesting. We're not going to keep taking police killing black people for no reason, traffic stops, mental health problems. So this is just the way that we've learned to stand in solidarity and show that we're not going to, we're standing for a cause.
In the United States, one person is dead and one officer was injured on Monday at a shooting at his high school in Knoxville, Tennessee, as the community reels from off-campus gun violence that had left 3 students dead this year. The Knoxville Police Department tweeted that authorities were at the site of the shooting at the Austin East Magnet High School, adding that the scene had been secured. A Knoxville Police Department officer was reported among the victims. Police urged people to avoid the area, adding that a site had been set up on a baseball field behind the school for students to be reunited with their families. Last week, Republican Governor Bill Lee signed off a legislation that will make Tennessee the latest state to allow most adults aged 21 and over to carry handguns. And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Venezuela's Simón Bolívar International Task Force delivered humanitarian aid to St. Vincent and the Grenadines this Monday on board a Bolivarian Navy vessel following the eruption of La Sofía volcano on Friday. The mission includes 15 specialists and 2 multi-purpose vehicles to assist in search and rescue operations, as well as emergency health care, logistics, and communications. Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, expressed gratitude for the solidarity of the peoples and governments of Latin America and the Caribbean for the support they have offered to this nation in these difficult times. The Prime Minister expressed special appreciation to the President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, for immediately organizing humanitarian aid following the eruption of the volcano. On Saturday, the Venezuelan government sent close to 20 tons of humanitarian aid and activated the Simón Bolívar Humanitarian Task Force to collaborate with the brotherly people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Venezuela's Deputy Minister for the Caribbean, Raúl Lee Causi, offered statements upon the arrival of the Bolivarian Navy vessel to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, carrying humanitarian aid and experts to support the recovery.
Drinking water, we have mattresses, we have canned food, and other things we have been requested. And besides, we have a task force, Simón Bolívar Task Force with 15 civil protection team experts representing our country here. We have these doctors, rescue workers. They will be here at the disposal with the risk assessment team, and they will be at the disposal of the government of St. Vincent. We have
The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, welcomed the Bolivarian Navy vessel carrying humanitarian aid and thanked the government and people of Venezuela for their quick response to the natural disaster.
I want to welcome very warmly
Quiero dar la bienvenida
my comrade, my brother, Captain Mendoza of the vessel, from the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela, which has just docked here, and which has come with 20 tons of humanitarian relief. I want to thank you very much, Captain. The people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the people of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela have very strong relations. And those relations have been strengthened through the instrumentality of the ALBA, the Bolivarian Alternative for Latin America and the Caribbean. Venezuela is very well known under the leadership of President Chavez and President Maduro for its exceptional solidarity with countries in Caribbean and Latin America, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is not the first time that Venezuela has been assisting us over the last 20 years, and we are not surprised that they came so very quickly, given the volcanic eruption and the terrible situation which is facing our country at the moment. So is it today in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, by the act of our brothers and sisters from the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela. I thank them on behalf of our government and people from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
China has expressed grave concerns to Japan over planned radioactive water disposal into the sea, urging the neighboring country to adopt a responsible attitude towards the disposal of waste from the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian noted that the Fukushima nuclear disaster was one of the most serious in the world history, and the leak of large amounts of radioactive materials has already had a profound impact on the marine environment, food safety and human health. Japanese authorities want to dilute the radioactive wastewater from the Fukushima plant to acceptable global standards and start dumping into the ocean 2 years from now. The wastewater, though treated, may still contain radioactive tritium. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga's government is expected to move ahead with the idea despite opposition within and outside the country, and is expected to announce the decision as early as Tuesday. And residents of Japan's Fukushima prefecture gather in front of the Japanese Prime Minister's residence in the capital this Monday to protest the Japanese government's decision to dispose of radioactive wastewater from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean. The protesters stress they will gather again on Tuesday to stage another protest before the official announcement of the move. Tokyo Electric Power Company, the operator of the Fukushima plant, did not announce to the outside world the fact that the nuclear sewage contains the radioactive isotope carbon-14 until August last year. The half-life of carbon-14 is as long as 5,730 years, which means it is very likely to cause long-term damage to the health of people globally. The head of Libya's new interim government, Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dbeibeh, met with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara on Monday for talks aimed at boosting cooperation between the two nations. The two leaders reiterated their commitment to a controversial maritime demarcation agreement that has angered neighboring Greece and Cyprus. Turkey signed an agreement with the Tripoli-based government in 2019 to delineate the maritime boundaries between the two countries. Both Greece and Cyprus have denounced the deal, which they say amounts to serious breach of international law in disregard of the rights of other Eastern Mediterranean countries. The recently appointed Congolese Prime Minister Jean-Michel Sama-Lukonde announced his government's priorities this Monday at his first press briefing. He pledged that his government will focus on priority areas including peace and security, particularly in the east of the country.
This is told, we will return to the priorities set for us by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Felix Antoine Tshisekedi, notably peace and security, particularly in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Reforms in the fiscal area, it will be necessary to carry them out in order to have enough means to maintain the process and the electoral cycle, because this is also a priority for the government of the sacred union of the nation.
34 people drowned on Monday after the boat capsized off the coast of Djibouti. According to the International Organization for Migration, the second such accident in just over a month. Survivors reported that the boat capsized in rough seas after leaving Yemen with around 60 passengers on board. There were many children among the bodies found, according to an official, adding that survivors were receiving treatment from the International Organization for Migration and local authorities. The boat capsized in a major transit point for thousands of African asylum seekers in the region trying to reach the Gulf. A new group of 159 Cuban medical professionals arrived in the West African country of Gabon on Monday to join the Henry Reeve Medical Brigade that is currently providing its services in the country. Gabonese Health Minister Guy Patrick Nguema Ndong welcomed the Cuban medical workers who will offer their services across all 9 of the country's provinces. The group that arrived this Monday is the largest of all the Cuban medical brigades to arrive in Gabon since the first cooperation deal signed between the two countries in the health field in 2002. The brigade's work will be aimed at contributing to the broader medical care of the population and strengthening the levels of health and life expectancy together with Gabonese professionals. And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. This Monday, Europe surpassed the grim figure of more than 1 million COVID-19 related fatalities. The death toll across the region's 52 countries is the highest of any continent in the world. It is followed by the Latin America and the Caribbean region, where more than 832,000 deaths have been recorded so far. Meanwhile, the United States and Canada combined have recorded more than 585,000 deaths. Asia has registered more than 285,000 COVID-19 related fatalities, while the Middle East has reported 119,000 deaths. Finally, Africa has reached 115,000 COVID-19 fatalities, while Oceania has registered just over 1,000. India surpassed Brazil as the second most affected region by the coronavirus pandemic on Monday, having reported a total of more than 13.5 million cases amid a second wave that has seen a surge in infections in the country. According to the Ministry of Health, in the last 24 hours, the country confirmed more than 168,000 new cases, the highest figure since the beginning of the pandemic, representing the 6th consecutive day of surpassing its national daily records. Meanwhile, the number of new COVID-19 related fatalities reported was 904, bringing the total death toll to over 170,000, which is still less than half the death toll of Brazil. Despite the surge in cases, India has already administered more than 100 million vaccine doses in less than 3 months. This Monday, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez expressed his concern regarding the continued inequality in terms of COVID-19 vaccine access.
Countries across the world account for around 75% of global vaccinations. Many countries have yet to start vaccinating their healthcare workers and most vulnerable citizens. A global vaccine gap threatens everyone's health and well-being. The virus is dangerous everywhere if it spreads unchecked anywhere. And global value chains do not function if one link is broken. Some estimates put the global cost of unequal access and vaccine hoarding at more than $9 trillion.
According to the Director General of the World Health Organization, the COVID-19 pandemic is a long way from over, as 4.4 million cases were reported globally last week.
A long way from over. But we have many reasons for optimism. The decline in cases and deaths during the first 2 months of the year shows that this virus and its variants can be stopped. We have now seen 7 consecutive weeks of increasing cases and 4 weeks of increasing deaths. Last week was the fourth highest number of cases in a single week so far.
The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all aspects of people's lives all over the world. Our collaborator Stephen Taylor brings us a story from Cape Town on the impact of the pandemic in the tourism industry in the region.
It has had a massive impact on the tourism industry. JP Josephat and Boris Nanda from Namibia embarked on a journey to build a boat with us starting back in 2018. Little did they know COVID-19 would impact the building of their boat. Boris takes us through the importance and significance of the name of the boat.
Lady Victoria is actually named after my mother. For me, I decided, no, let me name the boat after her, just for the challenges that she had gone through her life. And also she's a very, health-wise, she's not always that healthy. And for me, I decided, let me dedicate this to my mom, that she managed to raise us all.
Boris adds that building the boat wasn't easy.
We started building the boat in 2018, and by that time no one ever thought that we'll have something called COVID in our lives. So now it was a bit, I was a bit hesitant. Some of the ideas I was saying, should I change it into a fishing vessel? And then I was just like, no, but after this, I'm sure we'll definitely get the vaccine is already here. I'm positive that it will definitely work if we all adhere to taking the COVID vaccine and also just follow the necessary procedures and protocols that are there. And I'm definitely sure that it will pick up, and it has created a couple of jobs here in Hout Bay itself, and it will also create more job opportunities in Namibia. So I'm excited.
In these uncertain times, getting the tourism sector going again is vitally important. The Namibian tourism industry contributes over $47 million to the Namibian economy. Lady Victoria will be part of boosting the tourism sector. For TeleSUR News in Cape Town, I'm Stephen Taylor.
Cameroon is starting the first phase of its vaccination campaign after receiving a donation of 200,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine developed by the Chinese firm Sinopharm. The country of about 26 million is officially one of the most affected in Africa by the pandemic, with over 61,000 cases reported so far and more than 900 fatalities.
Is prevention and preservation of health personnel who have been on the front for almost a year. So imagine someone like me who has just had his vaccination card and taken his first dose. We think we are more protected against this virus. The Minister of Public Health is going to make sure that the health personnel who treat all of us are vaccinated first. If they are not vaccinated, they will not be able to treat us. So they are the first priority. Then the rest of Cameroonians. As for me, I am ready to take this vaccine anytime. The vaccine is already here. It is an important step in the response mechanism because it will add to what already exists. And given the situation of the pandemic in the last few weeks, we think it is really timely for the control of the pandemic.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.